owning this game was an incredibly profound way to gain power really quickly. If you've ever spent any time in LA, there's no place other than maybe New York that will make you feel like a nobody like LA and New York.
When I started off, I remember thinking, I was just doing something cool. Like I was like, oh, I want to
Yeah.
build this cool app. At the time, it was like us trying to create our own live video stream of our lives, and so we built all this technology for it. But I remember having this conversation with my co-founder and saying, if we could each make $1 million in this industry, like that would be incredible, right? Like over our, the next couple of years or whatever. And that was like almost like a mind blowing goal at the time. And then
Right.
we did it and we crushed that. And then it just became normal, right? It was like, I was like, we sold the company for $60 million, and then that was like normal. And then we were like, I was always looking up at like, what can I do better? And like, I always felt like this scarcity, like I didn't have enough. It seemed like you went through this journey where you were learning about poker. It was kind of a curiosity and seeing like this amazing world. And then you're growing in it, and then you grew bigger and bigger and and then you suffered defeats. And I'd love for you to tell the story about like some of those stories about like, having to move from LA to New York, but then even doing it bigger. But then it was like, it almost seemed from, reading the subtext in your book, it's like that it wasn't enough. You just wanted to keep going.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, it's interesting. There were so many incredible lessons to building this game. And one of I think the most prolific lessons comes from that. When you're coming from that place of lack and never enough, it can really lead you down this path of being incredibly growth oriented, and incredibly creative and outside the box in terms of how you build and you scale your business. In LA, as soon as I realized I wanted to own these games, and I wanted to own it for the poker, but more than that, it was this networking rocket ship. This game could get me into any subset of society that I wanted at the top level. There were 9 seats at the table. Everybody wanted to play at this game because it was their opportunity to not only play very exciting poker, but to play with people that everybody wants an audience with, and so owning this game was an incredibly profound way to gain power really quickly and agency. And if you've ever spent any time in LA, there's no place other than maybe New York that will make you feel like a nobody like LA and New York, And so that's like family, feeling like, I was kind of a nobody in my family, and then getting to LA and seeing all these larger people than life and just feeling sick of being powerless, feeling sick of like being on the sidelines. And all of a sudden I stumble into this opportunity, and here are all these people, and they're larger than life. And not only that, when you have chips, when you have this like type of economic system with chips, people throw around money like it's, they don't, it distorts the value of it, right? So I'm making like, $3,000 the first night for refilling a couple of Diet Cokes. Plus, I'm exposed to the inner dialogue, to this real candid dialogue between these fascinating people. And I'm just, I'm so in. And so in order to build it, in order to cross that chasm between being a cocktail waitress at these games and then actually owning and operating these games, I just got super focused on the details. How can we break down this experience from A to Z and look at the little ways that I can upgrade the experience? And then the other thing I did was I grew up, my dad's a shrink, which is a nightmare when you're a kid at the dinner table. You get away with literally nothing, right? But it trained me to think about the world in this way, to investigate human beings and how they operate. And to be very curious, like we were talking about before, about who they are, what they care about, and how you can improve their experience. And so, I kind of went at it from this very detail-oriented way where I was like, okay, this isn't just a poker game. This is an experience. This is an experience of escapism where these people get to come and show up and disappear from their lives into another world, and so I started really building on that. I wanted to really focus on world building and, moving the games to the penthouse suite at the Four Seasons and, the top shelf everything and the right playlist and the right, staff that knows details about your life. And so that really worked in LA, this very this commitment to understanding people's psychology and then tweaking the details to amplify the experience.